official Pros in the Wild submission coming in from Florida. Uh, quote, the year is 2018. I'm with three families at our annual spring break trip to the shark attack capital of the world, New Smyrna Beach, Florida. I'm the only surfer in the group, preteens, teenagers, family dynamics. The surf had been firing all week, but my sessions were shorter than I had hoped. The last day, I escaped solo for 4 hours of uninterrupted fun at the inlet. Saw all the local pros showing why they are pros. Michael Dunphy grew up in the area, and despite me being 20 years older, he always said hello and acknowledged me. He is and always has been a class act. I had come in, surfed out, bliss feeling. Spring break was over, started packing my boards for the flight home. I had just zipped the coffin and cracked a beer when I heard a lady screaming. Her son and husband were in a rip, and it was bad. I looked up and I saw Dunphy sprinting in to help. I also sprinted to attempt to help the pro in the wild save a life. Fortunately, we got to the kid pretty easily, but the dad was absolutely freaking out. He was a big boy and he was in full panic mode. Dunphy's 25-ish liter surfboard was the only flotation. The dude was clutching in and fighting hard, not good. His fingers sinking into the single layer of 4-ounce glass on the deck of the surfboard. It was hard work to keep him afloat, and we were all in this zone called the shark pit. Fortunately, a wave hit us and pushed us into the area where we could touch and stand, and the life was saved. It was surreal. Mike mentioned that he was flying to Portugal the next day. We chatted for a few minutes, high on the adrenaline and the bizarreness of just went down. Went down. I snapped a picture of us. He included the picture. I'll post it on the website. And then P.S. Many congrats to Dunny for his second in Barbados last weekend and winning the North American division and qualifying for the CS, the Challenger Series. He's a true pro in the wild. Kick some ass at Snapper, Dunny. He's a true hero and a pro in the wild. Hectic.
Very, very fine submission. And I love the Michael Dunphy is not only the pro in the wild, Michael Dunphy is that rare creature, surf creature, growing rare by the day, I would imagine, who has somehow carved out an entire 20-year, maybe even 30-year at this point career. Michael Dunphy was surfing in events, was a known quantity. Back when I first started working at Surfing Magazine, this would have been, yeah, I don't even know, 15 years ago, where he was exactly what he is now. Where imagine like the QS grinder, right? Which we talk about, or I think it used to be more of a thing than it is now with, sponsorships going away and blah, blah, blah. I think that's harder. But Michael Dunphy, because Michael Dunphy, let's just be honest, it's not like he's waiting his turn to finally get on the CT and blow up. No. If Michael Dunphy accidentally won enough Challenger Series events to make it onto the CT, he would be bumped so far out by Margaret that it wouldn't even be funny. But Michael Dunphy has that perfect skill to like slay in pretty crappy, generally crappy places. Not that Barbados is crappy, but will win at Huntington every once in a while, or will win in New Smyrna, or will win here and there,
Virginia
bloody.
Beach.
Yeah, exactly. And keep on pro surfing. Where I wonder at the end of the day if Michael Dunphy is the patron saint of surfing, if this is the kind of guy who we should all look to. The Gabriel Medinas and the Idolos and the, I don't know, even Griffin Colapintos and Jack Robinsons, John Florence's, go on and on. But these guys are all freaks of nature. They're not like you and me. They are
No,
freaks. And I like to watch them do their freak thing, and that's great. But Michael Dunphy, he's us. He is a guy just trying to get by at his job.
it's interesting. I mean, there were thousands of guys that kind of fit the same profile as Dunphy for a decade,
Tens
and
of
they
thousands,
all
I'd say.
what?
Tens of thousands, I would say.
Yeah, possibly. And he's one of the last vestiges of that era, like to be able to still afford to be able to do it and still have mainstream sponsors. I mean, he's still on Quicksilver, right?
I think so.
So, yeah, so he's making money doing it. And um, it became financially unviable for everybody else. And somehow he's navigated away and he's still winning events or getting second place in events. And maybe on the come up still, like somehow is still uh, doing better each season. I went on a surf trip with Dunphy one time. We went to Costa Rica. And I will tell you exactly to your kind of what you're talking about. He was not the most talented surfer on the trip, like naturally talented, but he was the hardest working surfer on the trip. He was he surfed double the amount of time of anybody else and would not come in until he bagged the clip, you know.
Dunphy. Here's to Dunphy.
Totally.
But
Um,
like the Dunphy, what was I going to say about old Dunphy?
well, while you're thinking about it, I've got one quick story about him. On that trip, he had been to Costa Rica like 5 times in the last 6 months or something like that. And he would just do strike missions down there all the time. So he knew the roads better than anybody else. So he was the driver of the rental car and he drove like an absolute madman. Like it was very scary. And I'm a pretty aggressive driver and people get scared when they're in the car with me sometimes. I was very scared to be in the car with him, like going full speed on dirt roads around blind turns, like and the passing people in sketchy spots. I survived the trip, thankfully, but on the very next trip that he went to Costa Rica, he posted an Instagram with his car rolled over in a ditch.
Nice. That makes me,
So
all of that makes me like Michael Dunphy even better.
that he's a crazy driver.
That he's a crazy driver. That I wonder if Michael Dunphy sits down at the start of each year with the various contests he can enter and legit just treats it like a job, like crunches. Okay, what my winning, like, here's what the entrance fee is. If I get into the round of XYZ, I will make this amount of money. And if he just truly uses it as a, sponsorship money, that's going to continue to go down, or I can't really control that. What I can control is entering a ton of contests and knowing that if I get this place, this place, this place, that I will be, making 60 grand a year.
It's possible that'd be a smart way to do it. But as you were talking, I'm thinking I am now rooting for him to get on the championship tour to prove you wrong. Like just like you did with Kelly Slater, I want to
I
see
can,
I want to see
a spike tree.
a spite Dunphy. Like because I don't necessarily know that I had a vested interest to see him get on the CT before, but with you saying like, oh, he'll get on there and then he'll get bounced out before Margaret's, I'm like, will he? Like I would
He
love to
will.
see him level up in big
Um,
surf doing big turns.
Michael Dunphy, if Michael Dunphy, and here's the spite tree has to be serious. The spite seed has to be pure spite. Michael Dunphy, you are a great crappy surfer, and you have no ability to make it on to the CT in any meaningful way. If you accidentally make it there, you will stink and people will be mad when they have to watch your heats. They'll think, "Why is this stinking guy here? He smells bad. His surfing is odious to my nostrils. Get him gone." Michael Dunphy, take that. Put it in your heart.
Wow. So
Put it in your heart.
it was initially just a spite wheatgrass seed, and now I think you just planted an oak tree.
Let's
We're
hope.
gonna we're gonna see him showing up at 20-foot cloud break next time they get a big swell.
Let's hope.
Wow. Okay. Well, shout out. Thank you, listener, for the pros in the wild.